Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of the Guitarist Corner. We've got in the house guitar hack, Butch Jones, Chris Canzoneri, Sean, Tonar, and Jim Bacchi. I am Pete Pardo. Today, we're all about our favorite Gibson players, right? So today, we're going to give some love to our 5 players who mainly, there you go, played the Gibson brand. So SGs, Les Pauls, Firebirds, Flying V's, whatever, Melody Makers. There's all sorts of different
Explorers.
Models. What's that? Explorers. That's right. That's another one I forgot. Yep, that's right. That's right.
5.
All sorts of, a
3-5.
lot of them. So the interesting thing, we were just talking about this before we went on the air, is that there are a lot of really great players who played Gibsons quite a bit, but also played Fenders almost equally. So, I'm going to let everybody kind of pick what they want, but I think we're trying to stay with guys that mainly were known for playing, Gibson. So we're each going to go round and round and round as we get through our 5. So we'll have, let's see, we're going to go Jim, Chris, Sean, Butch, Hack, and myself with your number 5, and then we'll work our way back to number 1. So Jim, what do you got for your first choice for the day?
Okay, so for my number 5, and again, I'm going off of with all these guys, kind of the signature sound they created with their Gibsons, because a lot of them switched, like you said, switched guitars, got custom made guitars, played both Gibson and Fender at one point. So I know that this one probably got custom made guitars, I think, although he still seems to play this. But my number 5, I'm going to go with Tony Iommi, purely for the invention of inventing metal and playing a Gibson SG while doing it. I'm not sure, did he get some custom made stuff later on, or was he always SG, always?
Yeah, he's got a custom.
Yeah, I'll talk.
No, but those first all the classics, were recorded on an SG, as far as I could tell, if you look at the videos. And he kind of that sound that he did with an SG, he is his. So not only inventing metal as we know it, but that sound, that doomy sound. And it's funny because an SG, a lot of SG players sound differently. The SG can sound like a lot of things depending on what you're putting it through. But for me, my number 5 is Tony Iommi. I guess we're gonna go talk about favorite albums.
You can if you want. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I got a tie. Heaven and Hell, which I don't know if he's still playing SG. I think he was, because I saw that.
I think he went to a custom model like either in the late 80s or early 90s. Much
Okay, so Heaven and Hell.
I'll talk about it later. But go ahead.
Right, Heaven and Hell, he probably still, because I saw him on that Black and Blue tour a bunch of times. And Heaven and Hell and Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, those are my 2 favorite. Him doing the SG and being Tony Iommi. So Tony Iommi's my number 5.
Cool. Chris, what do you got?
Okay, my number 5. I was going on guys who I thought are cool. I'm not trying to pick the best player. It wasn't my 5 best Gibson players. This is my 5 favorites. Number 5, I'm going to go with Mick Ronson. Definitely an underrated dude. People don't talk about him very much. I think he had the most interesting and well-controlled vibrato of like anybody I've ever really paid attention to that about. Always played his Les Paul Custom with that natural top. You think of him, you see that. I always liked the guy. As far as album goes, I went with Man Who Sold the World, the Bowie album, which is pretty heavy for its time. I mean, Tony Iommi was inventing metal like the year before or whatever, but I think this guy must have heard him and decided, you know what, I'm going to turn this thing up. So, Mick Ronson, number 5.
Great choice. Yeah, he was good stage presence too, right? I mean, he's perfect for
showman.
Yeah,
He had a cool style, very cool style.
He kind of rubbed off on a very famous guy that played a Les Paul Custom that looked a lot like his and had a hair just like his. So
Randy something or other, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some kid.
Very cool. All right, Sean, what do you got?
Well, for number 5, I'm going with this guy right here, the Fusion Shred Master Al Di Meola. You probably remember him on the cover of his first few albums with this beautiful black Les Paul, Elegant Gypsy. You know, it's such a great tone on there, and really dig his kind of Latin stylings. You know, kind of like Santana on steroids or something, and just some of the most lyrical phrasing around. So yeah, number 5 for me. Go with it, Al. You know, he was shredding it up, you know, a good 10 years before a lot of other guys were. And it's like, and he still can do it to this day. He's one of the most lethal alternate pickers around.
That right hand.
Yeah, man, like a machine gun.
And somehow at some point he actually said, you know, I'm kind of bored just playing a Les Paul through a Marshall. I'm like,
Yeah, he's been known to mix it up. You know, he plays acoustic a whole lot too.
He did a few of those classical guitar albums.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
He's come back to that Les Paul recently, though.
Yeah, I saw him on a tour maybe 5 years ago playing Elegant Gypsy, and he had it, you know, and that's,
He's
you know,
back.
people want to see him play that guitar.
that's right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it's the Al guitar, I think.
Did he ever play Fenders?
I've heard him record a few tunes with a Strat, and it's kind of weird to hear him play one.
Yeah.
Kind of neat, actually.
Didn't he play Paul Reed Smith's quite a bit, like in recent years?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
PRS, yep.
With that Return to Forever reunion about back what 2008,
Yeah.
he was playing PRS a lot on that, but equal amounts of Les Paul too.
Yeah. Yeah. Good choice. Butch, what do you got?
Well, it wouldn't be me because you know these things really these lists really bug me, and I feel awful. So I'm cheating from the get-go. So I have a tie for number 5 because I have to. Gary Richrath from REO Speedwagon.
Good choice.
So here's the thing. I'm not an REO fan, but I love Gary. And I love that Les Paul. Most of my guys that you're going to see in my list all have, they're all Les Paul guys. I'll tell you that right now. And pretty much majority of them have had Gibson make a signature model of theirs. And there is a Richrath Paul out there. It's not cheap, but I love that iced tea color that he had. And man, he's such a phenomenal player. And I hate Kevin Cronin with a passion, and it ruins it for me with REO. But I can listen to him to listen to the solos, and when Cronin just starts, it's like, oh god damn.
That's the second time his name's come up tonight. Let's see.
Yeah, exactly. You said it before. I'm like, damn it. And the other one, I have to get him in. Mr. Dave Medichetti.
Oh, yeah.
YMT?
There it is. You can see a little bit better there.
Yeah, because
That-
he never played anything else.
Well, you know what?
And that Melody Maker, maybe, or a
No. Well, he played a couple of things, but it was mainly this Les Paul, which was a 68 gold top that he had painted. And he played a Yamaha later after they got successful. He played a Yamaha double cutaway, like that Santana looking thing.
Okay.
But what he tours with now, like that, exactly.
I want one of those bad.
What he tours with now is I asked him, one of the times he came through Poughkeepsie, I asked him about it. And he said a fan made him a copy of his baby. So he was able to keep that one at home. He said it was pretty much exact. And it had the wear marks and everything, just like the original one did. And he tours with that one. So he was able to leave the old one at home and tour with the copy. I mean, it says Gibson and everything. You wouldn't know when you watch him play, but I was really cool that he actually told me the truth about it. That was really cool. But so yeah, Gary Richrath and Dave Medichetti are tied for my number 5.
I don't think Gary ever played anything other than
No.
Les Paul standards, to my knowledge.
No, you know what? Bring it back up, Chris. Grab it. He played Yamaha too.
Really?
I've seen pictures of him with that same idea, that Yamaha artist. But that was after High Infidelity and all that stuff. So it was
later, but not in the 70s. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Gary was a Les Paul fanatic, man.
And Butch, I tell you, you should give some of those early REO albums a try.
I've heard. I'll be honest. I haven't heard any album in its entirety, but I've heard bits and pieces of stuff. And yeah, I do like it much better than with Cronin for sure. But just Gary just was such a killer fucking player. He's another guy. I always talk about guys that I love to have the fire. Gary had the fire.
No, he was explosive. Yeah.
Absolutely. And much like the other Gary, who was the king of that, but Rich Rath, man, yeah, he had it. He was such a phenomenal player.
Super melodic too.
Oh, Jesus.
Really good.
Awesome.
All right, Hack, what do you got?
Well, all my guys are like signature Gibson players. That's pretty much all they're known for playing. And the most obvious one of them is Angus Young. SG, always an SG standard. That except for, actually, I did a little bit of research because I wanted to make sure that he played anything else. And he actually had a John Birch SG that he played from like 79, 81, but pretty much they've all been Gibsons, but they've all been essentially an SG. And I mean, one of the tones that a lot of people chase, including myself, is that Angus SG sound, especially like, the Back in Black record or the Heaven and Hell record, or Heaven and Hell, sorry, Highway to Hell, got Sabbath on the brain. But yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is he's such a small guy. And I've read interviews with him that you notice when he's got to throw his whole weight into the guitar to get a bend to happen because he's just such a small guy. But, I mean, that guy's just, I mean, I don't have, everybody knows Angus Young and what he does. And if you watch him run around the stage doing a duck walk or just banging his head and still able to play and play well, that in itself is like, that's one of the wonders of the world. And I love Angus. And yeah, SG's always been an SG player one way or another.
I was going to say for him, it's probably great that that's a very light guitar.
It's light, but it's long, right?
Yeah, it's a long scale neck.
It's a
Got
long
a high
neck,
reach.
right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man.
I always wondered if Angus, just exactly like you said, Hack, how live the head's going and everything. I would love to find out in the studio, is he just sit there and play, or does he actually have to be moving around? Because I can't imagine him just sitting there just playing. He's got to be doing his whole thing. Move. That's the Angus thing. How can he play without doing that?
Yeah.
Well, that reminds me of a quote, Butch, that you've probably obviously heard, but Edward said that he never played sitting down because it would sound like he was playing sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
He always said that I play standing up in the studio, so it sounds like I'm weird thing that always stuck with me. It's like, because I like to record sitting down, but he said he always stood up.
I think there's definitely a difference. I definitely understand what he meant for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Like Butch, I'm going to pull a mulligan here because I had two guys jockeying for number 5 and I couldn't leave either one of them off. So I was like,
Pete, I learned this from you.
Of course you did. So yeah.
This was called a Pete Pardo years ago. So I learned it from you.
I thought this was a Rick Catino.
No. I learned it from Pete.
Pulling a Catino is when you just totally go off the rails with the rules, but pulling a Pardo mulligan is when you can't put something aside. You got to include it and give it one deal. So tied for number 5 for me, Frank Marino on the Gibson SG Standard with a Bigsby. I mean, that guy got some sounds out of that guitar that you wouldn't expect out of an SG. I mean,
the P90.
What's that? With
P90.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I remember I used to listen to those old Mahogany Rush albums and thinking he's got to be playing like a Strat or something. Nope. He's playing an SG. And World Anthem, Mahogany Rush 4, Strange Universe, the live album, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're all great. He's explosive on everything. He can go from funky to bluesy to jazzy to pure out hard rock. I mean, just such an amazing guy. And man, his solos are just like
insane.
I mean, geez, Hack, we talked on your show recently about having guitar solos that become like a mini song within a song. Yeah. That's Frank Marino right there. Absolutely stunning. So tied with him, I think I have a couple Allman Brothers guys in my list. Dwayne Allman probably would rank higher if we got more out of him, but man, he is, him playing that gold top, just absolutely incredible. And, he played an SG2 from time to time in a 345, but it was mainly him on the gold top that we saw, the standard. And just an amazing player. Again, could play the blues, could rock out, could do the jazz stuff, great improviser, and just had that really, really sweet tone that you can only get out of a Les Paul. So Allman and Marino, those are my tie for number 5s.
What's cool about Marino too, man, is the way he would just change gears. He would just be playing like a blues, and then he would just start infusing all this jazzy stuff into it. Just take it to a completely different place. And you're like, where the hell is this guy going? But it was all beautiful. It all made sense. It was wow. Yeah, he's an awesome player.
And he was shredding like way before like anybody knew what the hell shred was. I mean, there were other guys who played, crazy solos and did improvising, but man, Marino, you listen back on some of that now, you're like, wow, that was way ahead of his time.
You know what it was is like, you had Hendrix. Obviously, he's a Hendrix guy. So you had Hendrix, and then he dies, and then there was Trower, and then Trower did his thing, which was phenomenal because he's one of my absolute favorites. But then Marino came and took the Hendrix and Trower thing, and he was kind of like that bridge before the Eddie thing came, because like you said, he was ripping it up like Alvin Lee, kind of like, but doing the Hendrix blues thing, and there was nobody else really like that. And then Edward came and all that stuff that came after. But yeah, you're right, man. He was just going for it on everything, in 75.
What tone too?
Oh,
amazing tone.
The thing Marino had though is he had I think to my ears, a much bigger vocabulary. I mean, he could go to a lot of
yeah.
And he was so damn young.
He was really young. Yeah.
He was like, 20, 21, 22 when those amazing classic records came out. I mean,
he was like 17, I think, when the first album came out. He was 17 years old.
So Mahogany Rush 4, he was probably 21.
Yeah.
Who the fuck plays like that when they're 21? I mean, there's spots on there where he's going to full shredding bebop jazz where all the distortion is off. It's just him playing clean. I mean, same thing on Strange Universe. He's on my list. It's just later. So yeah, Frank Marino.
Yeah, totally.
Took me a while to get there, as Pete knows, but when I got there, I was there.
Better late than never, I always say.
Oh, so you were not right away.
No. I knew I was supposed to like him, and I knew one song. I swear to God, real quick, I knew the song "Strange Dreams," and he played around here in New York in Poughkeepsie at the Chance in the early '90s, and early to mid '90s. And I went to go see him. Frank Marino, I got to go see him. I got to see I got to see it so I can get it. And I knew one song. He opened with "Strange Dreams." So I was like, okay, I don't know anything else. And he just was ripping. I mean, I knew he was a great guitar player, but he was shredding and doing it. And an hour into it, I'm like, I'm exhausted. I don't know anything else. And I said goodbye to my friends that worked there. And I came back like the next week for the next show. I was like, yeah, so how much longer did Frank Marino play? It's like he played another hour and a half after you left. So I was there for an hour. So he played for like 2.5 hours. But it was too much to digest when I only knew the one song, and he opened with that song. So I'm like, okay, I don't get it. Years later, I tried again. I remember talking to people like, I know I'm supposed to like him, I know. And then I tried again. So this is like maybe early mid 2000s, and whatever, I don't remember what it was, whatever I heard then, I was like, oh, okay, there it is. Now I get it.
So which albums did it for you?
I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew for 100%. I think I remember one of the things is the band Halloween did a cover of Juggernaut, and I didn't know who did it, and I liked the song. I'm like, who's this? And I'm like, Frank Marino. And then I went and listened to the original, so that might have been it. I remember listening to the original, and I'm like, ooh, Shit.
If I remember correctly, when you and I were talking about this, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was, you were listening to some of the latter period stuff a little more.
It wasn't Mahogany Rush.
It wasn't the
solo.
really early psychedelic stuff.
I
Like
was in Mahogany
Power
Rush,
Rock
man.
Roll, Juggernaut, and like a couple of those out. I think World Anthem. Oh, no, What's Next? I think those are the albums you were really getting into. You're like, this stuff is really good. I'm still having a hard time with the early stuff, but I'm starting to see the light. So I think it was the latter period stuff that really hooked you.
Yeah, it was definitely his solo stuff, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Wow.
And
Oh man, you got to get the Mahogany Rush albums. Those are
Got them. I've got them now. Like I said, I mean, this is, rolling forward. I have everything now. I get it now. But it took me a while, the whole psychedelic kind of thing and whatever. But I always liked his playing, but it didn't engulf me yet. And then like Pete said, like especially like the Power of Rock and Roll, I heard that. I'm like, oh shit, that and Juggernaut for sure. I'm like, no, this I like. He's just ripping, and it's way heavier. It's to the point. It's just guitar eccentric. So yeah, it took me a little while, but once I was in, man, I was in.
It's funny, for a guy that like success really always kind of escaped him. When the Juggernaut album came out and they pushed Strange Dreams on the radio station, and a lot of them were playing, I mean, PDH here was playing it all the time. That's like the only song on any of his albums that doesn't have a guitar solo in it. Most people are like, this is great. This is great. And then they buy the album and they're like, oh my God, this is like guitar overload. I don't like this. I mean, it's like.
Oh, it's so true.
It's the more than words of Frank
That's
Marino.
more than
Yeah.
words.
Exactly.
What's funny though about him is I saw an interview. It was just I saw it recently, but I don't know how old the interview was. But he said something that really disappointed me because I was a fan in the 70s. So I saw Frank Marino in 79 a couple times. I had those records for a couple years. And he said something that really bothered me and it always bummed me out. He said that because he was playing those big stadium gigs, he said, he basically alluded to the fact that he played a dumbed down set because he didn't think that the audience would get all his deeper stuff. So he's like, I played, I'm a King Bee and Johnny Be Good and Purple Haze because that's what that big dumb audience wanted. Because I was playing with Aerosmith and Nugent and those big rock shows.
Was he wrong though?
I was gonna say he wasn't wrong.
No, but here's the thing that pissed me off because I was such a fan and I'm like, I never got to see him do all that cool stuff that he ended up playing it way later, like in the 2000s, like that show you saw, but he started playing 3-hour shows, but he never played anything off of Strange Universe. We played Dragonfly and, from 4, but I love those records so much. And I'm like, I don't want to hear him play Purple Haze or Johnny Be Good. I want to hear him play, Dear Music and Land of a Thousand Nights and, all of those great songs from those records. And I'm like, wow, he completely underestimated the audience because I think he would have, I think the audience would have got it because he had a lot of amazing stuff. It's like playing dumb covers. It kind of disappointed me that he said that. But, he made up for it later by touring and playing those 3-hour shows where he played everything. And I never got to see him, and now I won't. So I'm kind of bummed about that. But
I do want to plug this real quick since we're having this lengthy discussion about Frank Marino. If anybody has not gotten or watched this, you haven't, Butch?
No.
I haven't watched it yet. I got it. I have not put it on again.
This is like one of the most incredible documents of just guitar artistry you'll ever see. It's way more than anybody could have ever imagined. It's hours and hours of just some of the most intense stuff you've ever seen. It's just worth every penny. So
awesome.
Yeah. Well, hell, Frank.
Yeah, it would help. Yeah, definitely. I mean, to think that it took him 10 years to finish that up and take care of all the problems that were involved with the recordings and oh my God, it's crazy. But yeah, it's amazing. So anyway, back to Jim.
Okay. Okay, so my number 4, I tried to pick.
Your number 4 is Frank Marino.
Not yet.
Coming.
And I tried to pick guys that were really signature sounds for playing those guitars. And we talked about this on the Hack show, so I'll keep it short. There's a guy who was great for 4 years and then sucked for the rest of his career, but he really personified a Les Paul through a Marshall, and that's Ace Frehley. He was great until 77, 78. And then after that, and I don't, you know, what he,
lady.
after that, yeah, you say 80, I say 77, 78. But the album I picked, and because I know he played on all of it, at least I think he did, is Dress to Kill. One of my favorite guitar solos on there of him ever is Love Her All I Can. Fucking amazing solo. And I just like that album is not super overproduced. It's kind of at the end of their basic production period before they went to, you know, Destroyer and all that. But Les Paul through a Marshall, like who else is there but Ace Frehley, right? And he just did it so well, straight in, you know, great vibrato, great phrasing, great solos. And, you know, we got a good version of Ace until the later 70s. And then after that, who cares? But that, you know, that stuff. And he's always been a Les Paul guy. So that's my number 4, Ace Frehley.
Do you guys remember that weird Washburn he came out with in the mid 80s? It looked kind of like a Thunderbolt or something.
Thing.
It was so wrong.
Jim, don't forget about the Ovation cornet.
Did he play a cornet?
Yes, he did.
Very early on.
Yes, he did. There's lots of pictures of him.
I've seen pictures of him too. Actually, I saw a picture of him with a Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
Why I got my Carlo Robelli Explorer, because I saw
It's an Ibanez, though. It's an Ibanez Explorer.
Oh, Ibanez. Okay, so it's the same. I have the Carlo Robelli, which is the same factory.
Yeah.
We had that discussion last time, but I saw a picture of him playing that. I'm like, because Carlo didn't make a Flying V, which is what I really wanted. So I was like, well, I'll get the Explorer. That's cool, because I didn't want a Les Paul. I wanted something, you know, crazier looking. And I saw a picture of him playing that Explorer. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, he was a Les Paul guy. So
I've seen shots of him playing a Greco Mick Ralph's signature model on some Japanese trip from way back when.
Yeah.
I might have given him one.
I remember the Greco.
I don't own one. I would like to own a Greco.
Ovation breadwinner too.
Yeah.
And
Well, I don't know what that one looks like. What's that look like?
oh,
Weird.
It's a weird looking guitar. Yeah, it's that kind of weird curvy.
Fat bottom looking, looks like a
that looks like an A.
kind of like a crescent.
Oh, yeah, like Keith Partridge.
Probably
Yeah.
so.
Yes, I didn't. Okay, yeah. I didn't know what it was called. That's the Keith Partridge
He
guitar.
played a white one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the thing on the top. Yeah. It's called a breadwinner.
Breadwinner.
Yeah. And
Wow.
he played one with the steel neck.
Ugly.
Jim something. Oh, what's it called?
Jim Beam.
Jim Beam. Yeah.
Yeah.
He played one of them.
No, Travis Bean.
Travis Beam.
Jim Beam's
Alcohol.
Jim Beam.
Drink
Drink.
bourbon.
on. I got the Kiss. One of the Kiss Alive bootlegs from that tour. He's playing one. It's got the split, like the headstock it's metal, right? So the headstock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kramer made one too in the 70s.
For a bunch of years. Yep.
The problem with them is when the temperature changed, so did the tuning. I had a bass player. My bass player in my first band had one of those Kramer aluminum necks. And yeah, when the temperature, because, you know, metal, you know, so interesting though.
Yeah, you get under the lights and a half an hour later you're out of tune, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, breadwinner. Wow, I didn't know what it was called. I always call it the Keith Partridge.
Well, we can all just call it ugly.
Yeah.
That's funny looking.
Red
Cool,
loser.
cool, ugly though, I would add.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
They're weird looking. They're kind of neat. I would like to have one, but then again, I want every model of guitar ever made. So.
Epiphone's making coronets again. I saw one the other day.
What was that?
Epiphone, the coronets.
Oh, the
Really?
cornet. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw one the other day.
Wow.
Saw that. I'm like, Ace.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
But he only sounds like him when he's playing a Les Paul. That's all he ever.
Nobody sounds like Ace. That's true.
Yeah, no one sounds like Ace.
That's right.
That's why he's my number 4. So.
All right, Chris, your number 4.
Well, my number 4 was Frank Marino. I didn't know. The only thing I got to add that you guys didn't say, and I was saving it while you were talking because I'm like, this is all I got left. But He's the only guy I've ever seen use the SG, that Maestro Vibrola whammy thing on there. I've seen him use that several times and really crank on it. And I'm like, I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't know either. Notoriously go out of tune. Yeah.
I remember reading an article with him talking about using the Bigsby with the white handle.
Mhm.
And he basically said, people complain about these, but you got to know how to use them. When you use them, you have to kind of hit it one more time and yank it back into tune. He goes, you just got to know how to use them. This is a lot of voodoo with those things apparently. And he knew how to like get it back in tune.
Hey, I heard of a guy in California, Southern California, that had a Fender tremolo that didn't stay in tune, but he said he knew how to work it too. He did that same thing. He had to kind of went down with it and snapped it back. And
yeah, you got to pull them back up because sometimes they don't come all the way back up because they're not like Floyd Roses. They're way less sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you gotta pull them back up and kind of pull them back into tune.
Yeah, the strings go through the nut and don't come back.
right.
Yeah.
So you give it a little shot and then they come back through.
That
Yeah.
Southern California guy was pretty good with it though. With the 3-in-1 oil, as he used to say he used to use.
3-in-1.
Good old Edward. I can bring him in any conversation.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Fits.
Chris, you gonna stick with your Marino pick?
I'm gonna use one of my honorable mentions and say Gary. And I've never seen him play anything but a Les Paul. Had his own signature model, not easy to find. But
Wait, who'd you say?
Who?
Gary Rosington.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
everybody's heard him a million times. Great player. Does his thing still. I don't even know how old he is now, but geez, they're going around one last time. I think I'll actually go see him this time.
They're always going around one last time.
Make sure you find out that.
though.
Make sure you find out if he's back with him because Damon Johnson's out with him right now still.
Yeah,
Oh,
Gary's been in the
okay.
hospital for a while. Yeah.
So much for that idea.
He played SG too. Like I think on Freebird he always played an SG, and if I remember right, he took
He did the slide right on
yeah,
Freebird.
and I want to say he took the B string off and doubled the G and played the whole slide solo on 2 strings. I could be tripping, but I thought I heard that story.
Sure.
And sounded pretty damn good through a PV amp.
The PV Mace
Yeah.
Oh,
sounded awesome.
Life goals.
Real tasty player. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to have a PV Deuce, which is half a mace. Yeah,
I had
boy.
I used to have my first good amp was a PV Renown
Oh man, that is a loud amp.
and a very heavy combo.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Yeah, the Deuce sounded like shit until you put it at about 5. And unfortunately, I think I blew the garage door off of my parents' house with it.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
all right, Sean, you're number 4.
I'm going to go with Kevin Cronin. I would go with this guy right here with the fancy threads.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah.
Martin Barr from Jethro Tull.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the best Les Paul tones around. I mean, we've all heard Aqualung a million times, but he just added a lot of balls to the recipe. I mean, he would be playing this little looty kind of things on the acoustic, and then Martin would come in with these big meaty riffs on the Les, and yeah, just great stuff. And super melodic player too. I mean, you can almost hum that solo to Aqualung, and it's true for a lot of them. Thick as a Brick. I mean, there's some amazing playing on that as well. And I don't think he used Les Pauls. He got like into hammers and stuff like that in the 80s. I remember.
I was gonna say I'm not a big Tull fan, but I love Martin Barr, but I don't remember him because I'm not a huge fan. I don't remember him as a Paul guy. I remember him with double cutaway stuff.
Oh yeah,
Didn't
that
he
was
play
kinda,
like Les Paul Juniors or something?
I'd say. Well, I think it was hammers. I think they made some kind of
later
SG
on.
looking.
Right. They made a Les Paul.
Yeah, they made it was a special. It was called.
Yeah, but I'd
They
say
made-
he was Les Paul up through I don't know, Songs from the Wood.
Really?
77-ish. I would think.
He was mainly a Les Paul guy, like Aqualung, Thick as a Brick. I think Benefit as well.
Really?
I think up just like Minstrel in the Gallery, certainly, and Sean might be right up until about Songs from the Wood. Then he started playing other stuff. I think he was also playing oh man, Hammer, like you said. I think
I've seen him play PRS, and
and he
Yeah,
played
I know
Spatzer
that
in the
later.
80s.
I saw him live about 10 years ago. Awesome show, more energy than anything Tull's touched in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And very guitar heavy too. He had another guitar player, a singer that could imitate Ian to a T.
Yeah.
And they had a really heavy two guitar approach going on. And, somebody, there was a lot of songs that had cool harmonies back then, like To Cry You a Song. That's a good example with that cool intro. And you'd never hear that live with Tull because they couldn't recreate it, but with two guitar band, so.
Well, Hamers were a fantastic guitar, man. They were awesome.
The older Hamer.
Right back there, man.
With the V?
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
What year? What year?
1985. It's a KK Downing Vector model.
Oh, really?
And they're rare. They go for a lot of money on. That's my Hitman guitar from 85 on.
Does it have a bar or not?
It's got a Kaler on it.
That's what I was waiting for.
So yeah, speaking about not staying in tune.
Just have to yank up on
the way
it.
I asked you.
Just walk it.
Man, it's old, man. That's the original one that's on there, man. I've changed a couple of saddles recently, but I got to tell you, that thing plays. I can't like all that super fast, the fast stuff for me that I did with my first band with Hitman. I can't really play that stuff on other guitars because the action on that thing is so fast and so awesome. They're really great guitars, and it sucks that they went out of business and now are owned by a bad Chinese company that's making crappy versions. I'm on a Hamer page, and people are always seeking them out. Like those Explorers and those other Vector Vs, they go for a lot of money now.
Jim, I'll tell you, my number one guitar that I've coveted that I'm trying to find, I saw one 5 or 6, 7 years ago, but it didn't have a Floyd, and I didn't want to get it because I want it with a Floyd. I want the Steve Stevens Barney Rubble. Remember that one? Chris knows what I'm talking about because it's made. The sherbet colored, like it's pink, orange, and yellow. So it's like the jagged ends of the bottom of the Flintstones shirts. And Steve called it Barney Rubble. I want that Barney Rubble guitar so fucking bad, and you cannot find them.
And what model was it? Was it the Beretta?
It was a Steve Stevens model. It was a Steve Stevens. It was like a double cutaway.
Oh, so it was like sort of like a Melody Maker, sort of.
Sort of, but it was a Steve Stevens model.
Right.
But it was that kind of shape, with the double cutaway.
Made those shotgun noises with that guitar.
Oh God, I want that guitar so bad.
Yeah, probably all of those Hamers, they're going way up in value because company went out.
And they were good.
I'm glad I got the one, and I kept it all of those years.
Yeah. I look weekly trying to find one.
Yeah. Are you on the group? Are you on the group on Facebook?
Yep.
I think I've seen you on there.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of people finding deals, but they're.
I figure it's so ugly that if someone is selling it, they're trying to get rid of it, and I'm the guy that has to have it. I'll just play it cool. I'll give you. It's so 80s. It's so 80s. I love it so much. I reached out. Steve Stevens actually runs his own page on Facebook, and a few years ago he made a post about it. And I didn't know if it was him or not. I just said, hey Steve, do you still happen to have the Barney Rubble? And he actually replied back, "Is like, no, I don't." It's like I sold them all. I don't have any of them.
Oh my God!
Exactly. It's like Steve Stevens doesn't have it. Like that's not right.
He probably's like, this is too ugly to keep.
Oh God damn! I have pictures, the old ads saved as pictures just to look at it every now and then. I'm like, I gotta find it.
Keep searching. I'll
find it.
You've never seen them for sale, or they just really high dollar, or
I found one on Craigslist, like I said, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it was a hardtail or stop tail. It was a stop tail, and I looked at it. I'm like, and I want a Floyd on it. I really, and I'm like, I can't buy this and put a Floyd. I can't hack it up.
Yeah, you can't cut them up.
And it was reasonable at that time, but it didn't. I wanted a Floyd, so I let it go. I probably should have just bought it and then And then what I should have bought that one and then kept looking for a Floyd one. That's what I should have done, but I was too stupid to think of that at the time. So if anybody's out there has a Hamer Barney Rubble, please let me know. I really, it'll have a good home, I promise.
So I got a question for the group. This being that we all play guitar, how many guitars do you guys have?
If I had kept all the ones that I sold to buy something else.
Currently,
Okay, so you interchange, you get rid of one.
I think right now I have 17 and I have 2 that are coming that are being painted and stuff. So that'll change shortly.
Okay.
I got 9.
9.
I got 11.
Sean?
It's been a while since I counted them. I'm going to say 20-ish. But I have got a little of everything, and I'm not really about collecting, a lot of any one kind. I'm kind of filling up the paint box with all the different colors.
Me too.
I've gotten into getting signature models of guitar players that I love that are rare.
Oh, and that's so much money.
Well, I had one. I had the brightest sounding guitar that I've ever owned, and I couldn't tame it, and I didn't want to sell it, but it got to the point where I probably wouldn't have played it. It was that bright. I had custom made pickups for it. I had a 100K pot in it, and it was still bright. It was the Yamaha Blue Saraceno.
Oh, is it plaid?
Yep.
Nice.
Watermelon plaid. It played great. It felt great. It was super, super bright. And I'm so sad that I got rid of it, but I made about $2,000 on it.
Well, that's all right.
So it worked out. Chris, you didn't answer. How many do you have?
Yeah, I'm counting still. I'm at 20.
Jesus.
And I just forgot. I got the first guitar I ever got as a kid up in the attic, so 21.
I got mine too. Some pieces. It's together, but it's not playable.
What was it? What was it? What's your first
It was
one?
a Tysco ET 400.
Oh wow.
Kind of looks like a 4 pickup Jaguar / Strat kind of thing. Slight offset to it and had like little flowers all over the pick guard. Yeah, it was a real piece of shit. But I've kept it, and it's actually, semi-valuable simply for its, for how cheap it was. It's like the year after they made this guitar, I actually think it has a Brazilian rosewood fretboard, so that's kind of why I hung onto it.
Wow.
But the neck is laminated from like 20 pieces of very, very thin lumber. So
Wow.
it's crazy. But I still got it. I know I might actually get it running again.
Nice.
I was a kid, so I took it apart and put it together and drilled holes in it and did all kinds of stupid stuff to it. So
As we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first one was a Squire Bullet. Remember those in the 80s?
Yeah.
It basically was shaped like a Strat, but it had a telly neck.
Yep.
those are cool.
I kind of wish I had one. And remember they had the funny wannabe lace sensor pickups in there.
Yep.
Somebody that I got it from just ripped all that out and put one DiMarzio in there, but they tilted it and totally missed the bottom E string, and it was like, so I had to make a new pick guard and straighten it out. It's like, oh, there's that.
Well,
there's
that guitar wasn't bright, was it?
I know it, man. It's like, this isn't a Strat. What are you doing?
Oh God.
Where did we leave off? Butch, I think it's your turn, right?
Yeah, I think it's me. Number 4, right?
The Reverend.
Excellent.
The Reverend Pearly Gates. How can you not have him? That to me is one of the most important Les Paul guys, important to the whole thing of collecting, hearing about a 59 Les Paul, use it on all those 70s records with the greatest tone he ever had.
Mhm.
You can't beat the Rev, man. That's easily my number 4.
Yeah.
The Reverend Pearly Gates. Everyone even knows the name of his guitar. You know,
Like spawned a line of pickups too, didn't it?
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's no doubt about it. Billy's number 4 for me.
Cool. Hack.
Yeah, so my number 4 again, I mean, my list is not, ranked in how great these players are, because this guy in that case would be like right at the top, but they're being identified with the Gibson. And this guy talking about signature guitars and famous 59 Les Pauls. I'm talking about Gary Moore and Greenie. And I mean, what else can you say? Gary Moore, absolute monster. And I, you know what? Probably you guys were into Gary Moore in the 80s with his heavy stuff.
Woohoo!
I got introduced to Gary Moore once he started playing the blues, and I was like, whoa. And this guy injected some fire into the blues, man. And there's videos of him up on stage with like BB King and all these guys, and he's just on fire, man. And that guitar, Greenie, I mean, talk about knowing the name of a guitar. Who doesn't know Greenie, Now in the hands of Kirk Hammett, used to belong to Peter Green. I mean, and he's he did play Strats as well. But I mean, when I think Gary Moore, I think Les Paul. Even when he was with Lizzy, he was playing like a Les Paul Jr.,
Right.
It's Gary Moore. Just
see, and you know what? Exactly what you just said, and you guys probably know how much Gary means to me. He's a pillar of the guitar world for me. But he didn't make my cut because I look at Gary as the Strat guy. Because the blues, to me, Gary, like exactly like you just said, Gary with that Les Paul is the blues side. But
right.
The Gary that I love is the Strat time with that 61 Fiesta Red. So to me, it's Gary's always that red Strat.
Well, that makes sense. That's when you came into him, and when I came into him, it was like this guy's playing a Les Paul, and oh my God, the tone.
Oh, Hack!
I always thought of Gary as the Strat guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Hack. I'll tell you, I saw Gary in 1990 at the Beacon Theater in New York City. So he was on the Still Got the Blues tour.
Yeah,
I think he did 3 or 4 shows in North America, and that was one of their shows. Cool. And so I'd already been, since it's 90, I've been into Gary since 83. So I was already well versed. He's one of my guys, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there watching. I'm excited to see him there. He's finally getting his due. Everyone's going crazy. Gary Moore, oh my God. His solos come. Everyone's standing up and clapping it. And I'm sitting there, and there's a guy next to me, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, are you just getting into Gary Moore, or do you know Gary Moore? He's like, oh no, I just love this blues stuff.
Exactly.
Because to me, like what you were alluding to, is when he went to do the solos, it was the metal Gary Moore. His solos were exactly the same from 1979 with Black Rose with Lizzy as he was doing with the blues stuff. It was the vehicle was different. He was doing a Chicago blues BB King thing, and then the solo came and it was Soldano and a pedal, and he's just ripping. And I'm just looking at these people like, you guys don't really know who Gary Moore is, do you? Like it was all new to them. I'm like, oh my God.
Hey man, it was new to me. It's like, oh my God, this guy's incredible.
Oh, but he tore it up, man. I was very happy for him because it was a long time coming.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll be mentioned more before the night's over.
I hope so.
My number 4 is Gary Moore.
It's interesting. So I had Gary at number 4 as well. And I would have probably ranked him number 1. But as we were kind of talking for the last, half hour or so, I was very hesitant to put him on my list because a lot of what you guys both said, I mean, he played a couple different, he played the Strat a lot. He played that Charvel a lot.
Yeah.
He played the Les Paul a lot. Yeah. It's like, so I was like conflicted because while I probably like him on the Les Paul the best, he was never just a Les Paul player. So I'm going to make the executive decision right now. I love him. He's one of my favorites of all time, but I'm going to take him off my list, especially since Hack just had him on. We talked about him, and it's like, so there's another guy that I really wanted to put on my list, and he's going to go on the list right now. Paul Kossoff.
Oh,
yeah.
Because he basically played Les Pauls. That was it.
Yeah,
and he was the vibrato guy, the guy who played 2 or 3 notes, and that's all he needed to play, and you knew it was him. And another one of those guys that, Les Paul, Marshall, done. That's it.
And the face.
Yeah, and the face. That's right. A little guy, just like Angus Young.
Small guy like Angus, I was going to say.
Yeah, he didn't get more time on the earth to do more music.
Yeah, I mean, just cut way too short, and we just never got enough out of him. But
Well, you know, though, although you know what, you say that, there is quite a lot for him dying at 25. There's quite a lot. You think, well, how many free records are there? 3 or 4?
he's on like 5 of them actually.
And then you got the 2 Backstreet Crawler records.
Yeah, and plus the Kossoff solo album.
Right.
I think for me, it's I don't like, out of all those free albums, I think maybe 3 of them are prime Kossoff. The other 2, he was already compromised by that point. So it's like, for me, I think like the great free stuff are those first 3 albums and that live album. After that, it's still good. It's still Kossoff, but I just wish we had him longer. And, you know, just another example of, you know, the junk ruining a real talent. But yeah, he's one of the greats, and I'm going to slot him in at number 4.
Good pick, man. Good pick.
Back to Jim.
Okay, well, we talked about him ad nauseum already, but Frank Marino's my number 3 for all the obvious reasons we discussed. And like I said, I was a fan of his in the 70s more than anything. I was super obsessed with him when I was a teenager. And I remember, you know, hearing him play jazz on a couple of those songs. He would just break into it, you know, a couple songs here and there on those early records, you know, those early and early records. And I went and got a guitar because I had one guitar teacher. And he's this weird guy from Long Island. And he made me change everything about the way I play, maybe use these little picks. But
Wait. Who was the teacher?
His name is Larry Bauman. He was he looked like freaking Esquivel. He had like the Buddy Holly glasses, and he played jazz. And he's one of those guys that would play a Beatles song, rhythm and melody part on jazz, like a jazz hollow body. And I wanted to learn how to play jazz because I couldn't wrap my head around it. But he was taking me back to the very beginning of guitar lessons, like, you know, the super plink, 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 you know. I was like,
yeah,
I can already do this. Like, I want to learn this. You hear this thing where Frank Marino goes into Dear Music and he says, I want to give up and play my guitar. And he's shred. I was like, I want to learn how to do that. And he would start playing along with it. Like, the guy was an amazing guitar player, but like, I don't want to learn basics. Like, show me how to do this. And after a couple of months of lessons, I said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. But Frank Marino, you know, because him playing jazz just blew my mind, because he went from that super Hendrix and blues and all the psychedelic and everything he did, you know, playing just clean jazz. He did it again, like one of my favorite tracks, Tales of the Unexpected. It's instrumental. That song where they just rip like full bop jazz, all 3 of them. You know, that's Mahogany Rush. It's like, what can't this guy do? You know, he's kind of like Steve Morse in that regard. Like, Steve Morse can do everything. You know, Frank Marino could kind of do everything. And he wrote great songs. And like you said, those solos are epic songs within the song. So I won't go on. I could go on all day about Frank. I'm sad he's not doing his tour, but he was my number 3, and we've already talked about him. So Frank Marino.
And I've actually heard of your teacher before.
You have?
I have. That's why I was expecting you to say somebody else, especially when you said the small picks. You ever remember George Bean? I think it's how you said his last name. Bien. It was like Guitar Power, I think was the name of his thing. He was a jazz player too, and I've got 2 picks from him. So
he made these little Halco teardrop picks.
Teardrops, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is what I use now.
He put 11s on my freaking Carla Rebelli, and it pulled the neck up.
Oh yeah, forget that.
I was so pissed. I was just like, oh, you ruined my guitar. You're pissing me off. And I just stopped.
You're fired. I'm done.
You're fired. You're fired. I was like 13. I really wanted to learn how to play like Frank Marino jazz. And he could do it, but he wouldn't show me how to do it. He took me back to the basics. I'm like, you're fired, man. And you ruined my guitar and these little picks. I can't do them. Made me change the way I pick and everything. And
one of the picks. Larry and George were the 2 guys from Long Island, the jazz guy. They were phenomenal.
You know, it's funny. And a friend of mine played a gig this weekend in San Francisco with a guy. He said he was from Long Island or from New Jersey, and he knew who Larry Bauman was too, which I could not believe. was like, how does it's the guy you find him in the penny saver. This nerdy guy who was like, he would come with a cigarette and smoke me out and made my mother give him a glass of ice water, and he'd cross his legs and he plays like jazz.
Yep.
But like, I can't believe you know Larry Bauman.
Yes, sir.
That's tripping me out, man.
You know what I call those little picks?
Oh, here we go.
Pumpkin seeds.
Pumpkin seeds.
Yeah.
The same size.
You see it?
Yeah, little teardrop picks, like you drop them, they slip out of your hand. Oh
I
my
love
God,
these.
Larry Bauman.
Because the ends are round, they're not pointy. The ends are rounded, so they're faster.
Right. Oh my God.
83.
That is so funny. I can't believe you know him.
All right, Chris, you're number 3.
Okay, well, the executive decision has already been made. I struggled with the same thing with Gary Moore. You know, I'm like, well, my favorite album is Victims of the Future. You know, I know he didn't play a Les Paul then. He does have a Les Paul signature model, though. But I'm going to take him out and slot in Alex Lifeson. Most pictures I've seen with him, the guy's holding a Gibson of some sort.
Yep.
He did, you know, go down the Strat Road. We already talked about this.
MPRS.
Yeah. He sounded the worst.
Everybody goes
PRS.
PRS. They get to be about 45 years old. They all come back. So, but yeah, Alex Lifeson, I mean, that guy, you know, what can you say? Great tones. First few albums up until, you know, 82. What did you say, Butch? 82, 83?
Yep, 82.
I pretty much agree. I did like Hold Your Fire. I thought that was a pretty darn good album, but, you know.
That's their most underrated record.
I agree. I saw you posted that today. And,
Yeah.
Over
that's the
Signals?
first I ever got in my life.
Hold Your Fur.
Yeah.
Wow. Over Signals. I think Signals might be the most underrated record.
Oh man, no, it doesn't get dumped on like that other one does.
Ooh.
Signals gets
Hold Your Fire takes a lot of crap, and I really like that album.
I mean, it's all about that signature guitar he had with the pointy headstock. It was actually called Signature, and it was all active single coils, and that was about as far as he got from his great 335 sound that we all fell in love with in
that
the
was
70s.
very thin.
But you know, it was 1989. It was, you know, friggin' Hartke or some shit he's playing through. What did Gailey and Kruger? Remember that little lunchbox size Gailey and Kruger?
Blue GKs, yep.
Yeah.
The 80s, everybody went awry in the 80s, man. Everybody that was great in the 70s went awry in the 80s. So
Alex played those guitars, and Neil started playing electronic drums. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? What are you guys doing?
I was already out by then.
The era of experimentation, right?
They were restless.
Things. Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, Sean, back to you.
All right, number 3, I'm going with Steve Hackett from Genesis.
There you go, Pete. You got to take him off your list.
Yep.
Sorry, Pete. One of the most consistent Gibson players around.
Yeah.
Although I think he's been using Fernandez for the past 20 years because they have that groovy synth or the sustainer pickup that he uses.
Yeah.
Him and Neil Sean.
But, you know, it's still a Gibson sound. You know, he never strayed from this Les Paul sound and just had one of the best ones. I mean, you know, the solo in Firth the Fifth is arguably the greatest prog rock guitar solo by anybody. I mean, it's way up the top of my list. Steve Howe wishes he sounded half as good. I'm just talking about tones, not notes. But yeah.
We don't want to go there again, Butch.
Yeah,
We did that last night on the In the Prog Seat show, and we got some people upset with us.
Oh, yeah.
I never looked at the comments. I'm sure there was people all sorts of mad at me.
Oh, God. We were talking last night about how, you know, when Howe, with the Drama album, how Howe finally found like a distortion pedal and he sounded great. And there were all these people chiming in. It's like, well, most of us Yes fans love the way he sounds clean on all those earlier Yes albums. Like, oops, okay, well.
The 175 sounded really pretty nice, just clean and jazzy. But whenever he tried to rock
Clink,
it up,
clink, clink, clink.
it always sounded kind of like, you know, relayer. Some people love that telly, but to me it sounds like an ice pick, you know.
Thank God you had Chris Squire filling out that spectrum.
Yeah, but I'm sure Steve will come up before we're done tonight. That other Steve.
All right, Butch, back to you.
I'm even going to wrap myself out. This is the guy that I forgot until literally 10 minutes before I was trying to find pictures. I ran out of ink when I was printing before. I printed out the pictures that I already showed you, and then I ran out of ink, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go try to find pictures here. And then I'm looking through pictures, and I saw a picture of him, and I'm like, oh, how could I have forgot him? It's like, oh my God.
CC?
Mr.
Yeah.
Vivian Campbell.
Nice.
Oh, Viv.
I thought for sure he would. Yeah, I knew he was going to be on your list.
I didn't, because I totally forgot about I'm so sorry, Viv, that I forgot about you, but I remembered. So that Les Paul Deluxe that he carved out and repainted and everything, 1983, when I saw this guy, my life completely changed. I can't even, I know I talk about him all the time. I can't, unless we were at a bar and we were just bullshitting, I couldn't possibly try to get across to you what this guy meant to me. This picture in particular, right here, with that Les Paul and those skinny jeans that we call them now, from 1983, from Kerrang! Magazine. I was a fat little kid in 1983, and I was trying to lose weight, and I saw that picture, and there was another picture of him in the magazine where you could see the pants were tight all the way to the ankle. I'm like, I gotta have pants like that. Oh my God. And so I'm letting everybody know, one of the reasons I love Viv so much and talk about him so lovingly is because he's the guy that made me lose weight. I kid you, I swear on my mom, man. The picture, and the other picture was in the magazine with those Peter Golding jeans. I'm like, I gotta lose weight so I can fit in jeans like that. He's the coolest guy ever. And I did, and I found those jeans, and I ended up getting them.
So when are we going to get to see a picture of heavy Butch Jones from like early 80s?
Ooh. Lynn, I hope you don't see this. Because she probably has something.
You remember that album he did with that band called the River Dogs?
I love the River
That's a
Dogs.
great
That's
album,
an often overlooked album that's really great.
He is on the first one and the third one. The second one he's not on. But the first one is phenomenal. And the third one has the most guitar playing that he has done, I would say, honestly, probably since the first 3 Dio records. It's called California. It's phenomenal. And he told me, I talked to him and had him sign. I have a guitar. Actually, going along with this, this is actually funny that on the back of where I have this picture, I have my original drawing. Oh, this might be tough to see. I have my original drawing from like 1985 in high school, where I drew a guitar that I wanted to have made. And you can see at the bottom here, I had Viv written on it. And I got this guitar made. It's a BC Rich Gunslinger, and I have it. And a couple of years ago, Viv came through with Last in Line, and I brought the guitar so he could sign it. So I had him sign the guitar underneath or right next to where the Viv is.
So cool.
That's
And
cool.
I explained to him, when I was 18 years old, and because I met you when I was 15 from this, I had this made a couple of years later and everything. I told him the whole story, and he signed it. But yeah, Viv with that Les Paul Deluxe, man. And I don't even understand. Epiphone made a signature model of that. But why wouldn't you have done it with Gibson? It's a Gibson. Why would you have done it on Epiphone? And there's a Vivian Campbell model in Gibson he doesn't even play. It's like a silver burst kind of thing, and he doesn't even play it. So it's like, whatever. But so there's 2 Vivian Campbell signature guitars with Gibson and Epiphone. But yeah, Viv is easily my number 3, and I'm so embarrassed that I forgot him until the last second there, but I pulled it out. But
So Butch, I don't know. Did I tell you guys this last time? I played that Les Paul. Viv's. A buddy of mine was the drummer in River Dogs, and he used to house sit for Viv's house.
you mentioned that part.
Yeah, he said, "You want to come up?" He goes, "I'm at Viv's house." He lived right by the Greek Theater, and he said, "You want to come up?" And I went up in his music room, and that guitar is on the stand. He's like, I go, "Is that?" He's like, "Yes." He's like, "You want to play it?" I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. So I picked it up and played it through his Marshall, and I played what? Rainbow in the Dark and Stand Up and Shout, of course. There it was. It was that fucking tone.
Don't tell Viv that.
Yeah, so I got to play it. It's pretty, you know.
It's hysterical. Whenever he talks about the guitar, he refers to it as by the serial number. And he knows the serial number obviously off the top of his head, that it's 77 whatever the number is. And it seems like obviously that guitar does not leave his side, just like somebody else that's coming up later. That's fucking awesome, man, that you actually played. Wow.
Yeah, it was through a fucking loud Marshall too, like in his room, up in his room there.
What did it feel like? Holy shit.
It was fucking cool, as you would expect. Yeah, so I picked it up and I was like, I did this squeal, and I'm like, that's it, man. That's the fucking tone right there. So,
wow,
cool.
That's fucking badass, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Wow.
All right, where are we? Hack, right?
Yep.
Yeah, my number 3. This is the guy that got me playing guitar, got me obsessed with Les Pauls. I have 5 of them right now, and I'm getting more. I mean, and he was mentioned earlier, and I think he was great until 1980.
Oh, I know what this is then.
Ace Frehley, man. First guitar I ever got was a Univox Les Paul Cherry Sunburst copy.
I remember
The one that looked like Ace Frehley's guitar, and it was a piece of shit. I had that guitar for years. That's what I started learning on, and learning Ace Frehley licks. And I mean, his feel, his vibrato, his tone. I mean, holy shit, the guy's just. I mean, that's why I want to play. That's why I wanted to play lead guitar. And I mean, his DNA is infused in me, man. Every time I pick up a Les Paul, I'm trying to get that Ace sound, that Ace vibrato, that Ace thing, right? And yeah, and
chicken picking thing.
You know what, that I can't.
And the bends, the 2-note bends.
The 2-note bend, yeah, the double stop, and then there's the chicken picking thing that he does. And
it's
then,
hard.
Yeah, it's really hard to do. Yeah. It was really hard to do. And yeah, I just absolutely love Ace. And his first guitar, his first Les Paul actually was a deluxe. It was a Tobacco Sunburst. And he had it like a lot of people do. They buy the deluxes, throw them out, throw in a couple of humbuckers. And that was his first guitar. And then he went on to the 3 pickup thing, which is funny because he only ever wires the bridge pickup. He doesn't play anything but the bridge pickup. The other 2 pickups are just in there for fun. And you know, yeah,
it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah,
yeah, he
one
even
has
said that. It
the
looks
smoke
cool,
bomb, right?
Yeah, the front one, yeah. And Super DiMarzio's, you know, I mean, Kiss had a relationship with Larry DiMarzio like very, very early on, and he was giving them all their pickups. So yeah, I can't say. I mean, we already talked about Ace, so I don't want to go on about it, but man, that guy for me in terms of like, you know, getting me to play, that was the guy.
Me too, man. 100%.
Me
Same here.
3.
Why was he no good after 1980? Didn't you like any of his Frehley's Comet stuff?
He became. I mean, the first, I'd say up until 1980, he was playing. All his solos were, you know, well constructed, original. I mean, he was playing licks that you've heard before, but the way they were strung together, it was very melodic and like concise. It was nice. And then what I find is like, even like then and even now, all he's doing is just recycling. You know, he's recycling. It's just his solos now, they're just, you can tell they're just like bits and pieces. It's all cut and paste. There's no flow to them. He lost that ability to just be like musical, to be
Ace.
To be Ace, yeah.
He stopped giving a shit. He stopped caring. He got really fucked up and he stopped caring.
He got lazy, like a lot of guys do.
Listen to the solo on Strange Ways.
Oh yeah.
Listen to the solo on you know, Shock Me. Anything off his solo record, the 78 solo. I mean, there's so many, you know, I Love Her All I Can, that solo. I mean, all those Kiss songs, it's like as soon as Ace comes in, it's like, holy shit, this song is good, and it just got way, way better. The guy is just, and he's got this, you know, and people are going to get upset when I say this, but he's got like a Stevie Ray Vaughan thing. And what I mean by that is you can play Stevie Ray Vaughan notes, but you'll never sound like Stevie. He's got some mojo in his hands.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Yep.
Ace
Definitely does.
has the same thing. You know, I Lace solos are not hard to play, but you'll never, as much as Tommy Thayer tries, you will never sound like Ace Frehley. You just can't. There's something in his hands.
It's vibrato, man.
It's so distinctive. It's like his fingerprint, and you can't copy the guy's fingerprint. And
Yeah.
I
He
told-
did, however, steal the solo from who's it, Robbie Densmore from the Doors?
Doors,
Robbie
yeah,
Krieger.
Krieger.
Robbie
Krieger.
Krieger, yeah,
Some of that note for note, man.
and Pearl Jam on Alive stole it again. I think it's the song. I think the song is Alive. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, they brag about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great
I don't know if you guys ever heard this quote from Marty Friedman. I had read this. I was like, when we talk about Ace, you know, somebody asked him about Ace, and he's like, yeah, you know, maybe the guy didn't have the vocabulary that some of us have, or the technical chops. He's like, but you could take, you know, any Kiss album from those early days before 1980-ish or whatever, but you could take any Kiss album and drop the needle on the solo, and you're going to know what song it was from.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, right. You know, they're all unique, and they all, you know, fit right in and did their thing and became
Really?
classic. You know,
He
And he
really
gets-
put
and he
together
gets
a great solo, man.
He gets a
Yeah.
lot of, you know, flack from like, you know, but I mean, at the end of the day, you know, he's not a guitar virtuoso by any means, man. But I mean, how many people play guitar because of that guy?
Yeah.
You know, he's
Raise your
lost
hand.
million guitar players like here, you know. So there.
But you know what though? Was it just for us? Thinking back to the 70s, was it just guitar, or was it guitar and a guy in a spaceman suit too?
You wanted to
With the
look cool,
package.
right? You wanted to look cool.
It was the
For me,
package,
it was
man.
the guitar.
It's the
I-
music, man.
I loved, at first I was turned off by what Kiss looked like because I was into Chicago and stuff. And then my friend's like, you got to listen to Kiss. I'm like, what, that band with the makeup? And then I heard, you know, like, I guess Rock and Roll All Night on the radio, the live version. And I was like, fuck. And I really got into them for their music. And obviously the show made it better, but I love those songs. I love those records.
Yeah.
So for me, it was less about the spacesuit and more about exactly what Christian's talking about.
Yeah, he was a superhero, man. He got
Like
me with
Ace.
the spacesuit and those boots. I wanted those boots so bad.
I mean, the two live records, Alive and Alive 2, man, and that guitar and those records, like, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
I'm sold. I want to sound like that. What's that guy playing? What's he playing it through? And it's always been a Marshall with Ace 2.
Yep.
It's that.
Until he got Laney's.
Yeah, he was with Laney for a bit. Yeah.
But I was way after 80, so.
I saw him in a club, and it would have been maybe early 90s, and I think he was on Laney's at that point. But yeah. Well, that's my number 3, Ace Frehley.
Cool. All right, my number 3 has already been mentioned, but he's got to be on this list. He's one of those guys that I think as I've gotten older, I've appreciated him more and more. And man, his playing on Tres Hombres and the first album and Fandango and, you know, De Guerra.
Afterburner.
Yeah.
Recycler.
The Reverend himself, Billy Gibbons, you know, granted, he's dabbled in some other guitars here and there, but he will most be known by playing that.
I'll do the picture again for you.
Yep, that's right. Him and Pearly. There's just something about it, man. That meaty tone and those tasty leads. I'm just sitting here hearing Brown Sugar in my head right now. Oh man, Jesus just left Chicago and beer drinkers and hell.
Balinese.
Man, all that great stuff. It's just what a tasty play. Another one of those guys that doesn't have to play a million notes to just like rip you in half, you know.
It's cool as shit.
That's right.
That's
That's right.
Absolutely. So yeah, Billy Gibbons, number 3 for me. Back to Jim.
Cool. Okay, my number 2, I went with my favorite guitar of choice, Flying V. And who personifies the Flying V more than Michael Schenker? I don't know anybody.
You know, I forgot all about him on my list
Good point.
Oh my God! What?
because I was thinking all Les Pauls.
Oh my God!
Shit.
And I only left him off of mine because he's been playing Dean for like a million years.
Dean.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's,
yeah, no, I'm with you, Jim. I'm
he
with
was
you,
one of the
Jim.
first guys I thought about because I'm like, man, Gibson Flying V, Schenker, but
Yeah, my singer and hitman, he gets so pissed off that Gibson didn't give him. He
yeah,
actually wrote Gibson and said, "Why the fuck would you let him go to Dean? Like, why would you not give him a model? Everyone has a model. Michael Schenker should have a white Gibson Flying V model, or that thing that my brother Rudolph stole my guitar design. Whatever. Whoever came up with it, he's got his own signature look, even.
Yeah, black and white. Yeah.
But yeah, the black and white. But like, man, who else?
You never know. The way everything is now with Gibson, you might see it, and Dean is all mess again, so you might see that.
I hope so. I mean, I saw him play the Deans recently, and he sounds, look, he sounds as good as ever.
yeah.
It's
Well,
Michael.
Yeah. I mean, talk about hands, right? That guy has more. He's better now than he was in the 70s, and which is, he's 68 or whatever years old. The guy has such amazing control over his instrument. When he plays a note, man, he ain't slipping off it. He's in total control of it. He's amazing. And so fast and so clean. And again, like Frank, as Pete, you're talking about with Frank, one of those early guys that really brought shredding to the forefront of his playing, as well as the sweet melodic stuff. The guy
Just
had amazing
tasty.
control, man, tasty and fast. And Strangers in the Night is obviously the signature great record, but all of those records, they're all the Flying V. He started with the Faded Cherry, and then moved to the white one. He's one of my guitar teachers, as I always say. Him and my next choice. So.
Any love for that Assault Attack album?
Oh, God, it's my
Hell yeah.
favorite,
I
without a
love that
doubt.
record.
Stop.
Man,
Stop.
just to tell you, Graham Bonnet, look out, man. Oh.
Absolutely.
All of that.
And I will say, that his signature Dean Flying V is a pretty nice guitar. I bought one, but man, that headstock,
Yeah.
Heavy.
I couldn't keep it because of that.
Really?
I got rid of it. Yeah,
That's the classic Dean thing, that V.
yeah, don't like it.
It's top heavy.
It's way top heavy. Yeah, I couldn't stand it.
I had a Cadillac I got rid of.
V's are kind of top heavy to begin with. And then you put that thing on it, man, it's like,
Yep.
It's like a
I don't like
neck.
that Dean headstock either, man.
Yeah.
I don't.
So much.
All right, Chris, number 2.
Okay. Number 2. This guy hasn't always been known primarily for his guitar playing. He kind of had a little teeny bopper career that lasted for He has what is, in my opinion, undoubtedly the coolest signature Les Paul model, which is a 3 pickup chambered black number. I'm talking about Peter Frampton, who, gosh,
that name's familiar.
Yeah, he had a real cool hit on the radio, and he made all these weird noises with this tube thing, and I think people heard about that and bought
And
a
that
few of those.
band he used to be in before that was pretty good too.
Yeah, with the little guy. Yeah.
He always played a Les Paul, but he did play a Strat on occasion.
He did.
True. Strat. But yeah,
Yeah.
he was on my runners up because he played the Strat as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Chris is right. He's so much known for the Les Paul. Come on.
Yeah, and that
Sure.
Les Paul, with the story of that Les Paul,
Yeah,
probably should have been on my list, but he was on my honorables. One of my favorite guitar players too.
Such a great soloist, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
People
unbelievable.
don't realize, but
Had a
so
nice jazzy
concise
career.
and tasty and
Yeah,
melodic.
very, very precise and tasty.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched this. This is weird because I can't remember what it was, but at the time, it had to be about 22 years ago, and I happened to have a weekend free in my parents' place, and they had gotten a satellite dish, and they were sort of new at the time, so they had all these free promotional things, and they were showing this Peter Frampton show, which was from that time, this 3-hour thing, documentary / live performance. I can't remember the name of it or whatever. but it was just pretty much perfect camera work, all on his fingers when he's playing. And I'm just watching him. I'm like, this guy is, he's not just show me the way. This dude's incredible. And I started looking back then into the Humble Pie stuff and other things he did. And the guy, he's great. Another sad story. His age is taking him down.
Yeah, and a lot of his solos are a lot of improvisation going on. His solos are not the same from night to night. He hits the key phrases, but he improvises a lot.
Yeah, just unbelievable talented.
What a talent.
And I did pick an album for him, Fingerprints.
Yes.
From, like mid 2000s instrumental album. I did a lot of collaborations and stuff, but definitely worth checking out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good choice.
All right.
John.
Well, I mentioned him earlier, and I'll bring him up again. Steve Howe from Yes. Definitely a Gibson man, although he's been known to play just about everything. But, those early records where he's playing the 175 is really his definitive sound, and followed by this 335. He used this on Siberian Catrue, a lot of Close to the Edge. The whole Close to the Edge album, actually, I think is 335, along with like side one of Tales. And and remember for Tromato, he got that custom Les Paul they called the Les Paul that looked like it was like solid mahogany or something. I actually saw a video where somebody had bought it and like said it was super heavy and not the greatest playing or sounding Les Paul around, but a really beautiful looking one.
I remember it very much so.
Yeah, it's a good looking guitar, and I think that's what you hear on Machine Messiah on Drama. So it was probably his meatiest tone with that particular guitar. Then after that, I don't know. I mean, he mostly plays 175, but he's been known to play Strats and Tellies and all kinds of stuff. But still,
it looks weird when he comes out there on stage with a Strat. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
it never seems quite right. You're right.
Hey Sean, that one in the picture, is that a 3? It looks like a 345 or a 355.
It might be. I mean, I'm a little dumb about the specifics.
There's a Variac on it.
Yeah.
So it's not a 335.
It's either a 345 or a 355.
Yeah. I think whatever it was stereo also.
No, it's a 355.
Yeah, okay, that explains it. Yeah, I'd say next to the 175, that's probably his best Gibson tone. Yeah. So, and tone I use in parentheses. I mean, his tone has been all over the board over the years. Some albums like Drama, it's really awesome, and other albums it's sketchy. It's
as weird as it is on those, like the Yes album and Fragile and those records, as dinky and as not great as his tone is, I think it fits the music really well. It's just, I don't know, man. South Side of the Sky, he's got a bitchin' tone on that, man. And Yours Is No Disgrace. I mean, it's
all Chris Squire. It's Chris Squire.
Chris Squire, but it's like he has his place in the mix. You know what I mean? He's not supposed to be. It's not a guitar band. So
yeah, if he had a bigger, jazz. I don't think that Drama sound would have worked on those earlier records. It would have.
No, I get you. Yeah.
Ate up too much bandwidth.
It gives them their kind of cool sound, I thought. And even though it's not the greatest guitar sound, but in the context of that band and those records,
works.
It works, but we also have 45, 50 years of hearing that you can't expect anything else. I can't hear anything else either. You're right.
Yeah.
What a great player. What a unique
Chris Squire
player.
sounded phenomenal, though.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
He did.
Billy Sherwood.
Are you saying Billy Sherwood in the same breath as Chris Squire?
I didn't say Chris Squire.
You better watch it, Jack.
But I'll tell you, I've heard some of the new record, and the jury's out on that one. But I think Billy's probably the best part of it. So
I can understand that.
Yeah,
we'll see. All right, Butch, back to you.
Well, I'm cheating again, but fuck yous all, because this is the way it has to be. Ryan Robertson and Scott Gorham.
Yeah, which one?
2-for-1 package, right?
2-for-1. here's the picture I originally was printing out when my printer decided it wanted to run out of ink. So it would have been a better picture of the two of them.
That's a good shot.
But yeah, you can see the blue streak here that was like, okay, we're out of ink you need pink, sorry. But yes, Robbo and Scott Gorham, man, oh man, just that's all those guys played during those times. In the classic era of Lizzy, it was the two of them with the Les Pauls, and Scott were the standard, and Robbo were the Les Paul Deluxe, and he had a custom too. Actually, there was a custom in his picture right here too. Yeah, that was an easy choice. But it has to be the two of them. So I'm not really cheating because they were together and they have to be together. So that's just a given.
Yep.
And yeah, I haven't been picking albums or anything. I'm picking, obviously I've been picking my favorite Gibson guys. And honestly, I was so focused on Les Paul that I wasn't even thinking about Schenker, and I should be shot that I forgot Schenker. That's horrendous. But anyway, I still have Robbo and Scott Gorham, so I'm okay. But yeah, I forgot Schenker. I can't even believe it. If he didn't get mentioned here, like in the middle of the night, I would be like, oh my gosh, Schenker.
Someone would have let us know in the comments.
He canceled the video. We got to re-record the whole thing.
Woo! Good Lord.
Do some clever editing.
Yeah. All right, Hack, what do you got next? Number 2.
Well, when you think of a Gibson SG, there's like two guys that, for me, pop into my head, that the classic SG guys. I already mentioned one of them was Angus. The other one has got to be Tony Iommi. And, you know, he started off with Gibson SGs, but he did play some custom-made ones. He had Old Boy, which was a John Birch guitar, but he did swing back to Gibsons in the 90s. And he's got, I don't know if you guys are aware, these signature models, the Monkey, and they're like, there's a left-handed one and a right-handed one, and they're worth ridiculous amounts of money. But yeah, no, I mean, what can you say about Iommi? The monster tones. I mean, it's already been mentioned. And for records, for me, I like the Dio era. For me, it's all about Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell, and monster riffs, big tone, great lead player. You know, he's the one who invented the big, heavy guitar. You know, down tuning to make it sound fatter, even though he's using thinner strings because of his little finger doodads he's using. But yeah, I love Tony Iommi, man. When I went to see Sabbath with Ozzy in the End Tour, I mean, Ozzy, I don't know. I think he was watching another band because he was singing in another key the whole night. But I was just focused in on just Tony. And the guy is just so cool. He just stands there and he's playing these monster riffs. And he just kind of takes a couple of steps forward, a couple of steps back. He's just sitting there in his element, pounding away these monster riffs that just, I love Tony Iommi. That's my number 2.
I'd throw
It's
Born
the
Again in
sound of
there
evil,
also.
man.
Hell yeah.
That is the sound of evil, Tony Iommi. That's what
When
evil.
he's soloing, he doesn't move much, right? He's just like, nothing changes, right? It's just unleashes these notes. And it's like, hey,
Just stands there. Yeah.
he's so casual about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Work.
The legend. All right, my number 2 is Warren Haynes.
Oh, nice pick, bud.
From, of course, from the Allman Brothers Band and Government Mule. You know, plays some Strats and Tellys here and there, but for the most part, he's got his, 59 and 58 Les Pauls. He's got Firebirds. He's got his own, I think, Gibson Warren Haynes model. He's played 335s, 355s. Man, what a sweet tone. What a great player. He can do the blues. He's a great killer slide player. He can play the hard rock 70s inspired British stuff. He can play any style of music at all. He's been one of the hardest working guys in rock and roll for so many years. And he's a great singer too. Yeah. So, so talented, just a jack of all trades guy that can slot in anywhere and just knock it out of the park. Great soloist, comes up with great riffs. Yeah, just love him. Love him.
He was a PRS guy for a while too.
A little bit, yeah.
He's got that 12-string Les Paul. Have you seen that? That is a funky guitar.
I haven't seen it. I've seen Rick Nielsen with one. I've never seen him with one.
Yeah.
Really?
12-string. Yeah. I mean, the headstock goes for miles.
Yeah, probably heavy.
Funky looking guitar.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine went to see Government Mule, and the first guitar he came out with was that 12-string.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Instrumental Illness.
Yeah.
That's a great track to check
That's a
out.
really good track.
The
Yeah.
Hidden
good
Note
track.
album. Yeah.
All right. We have arrived at number 1. You got Jim.
This will be of no surprise to anybody that knows me even for 3 seconds. Alex Lifeson. Especially he did when he switched to Strats, I guess around 1980. He was doubling stuff with a Tele and a Strat, but his signature 335 and 355 sound is what I really love about him. I mean, he played a Les Paul on All the World's a Stage. And it's weird because he played all of those records that came before it were all on the same Tobacco 335. And it's weird because All the World's a Stage is like a really muddy kind of sludgy sound.
Mhm.
But the sound on the first Rush album, considering it was self-financed, recorded on 8 tracks, it was him on that 335 through probably a plexi. And even if you see in the movie, the all Beyond the Light of Stage, when he's 17, he has that guitar.
Mhm.
And he's got that footage of him in that from that movie that he was in. Man, the guitar, the sound on that album alone. I mean, my favorite. It's so fiery.
Yeah.
Just so kind of heavy for its time. Although my favorite album guitar tone, when we talked about this, is Hemispheres, just because of he dialed it in so great on that. But those first couple records, man, but that first one especially, man, Working Man and What You're Doing, and man, the tone of that 335 is just, I like I said, I want to pick players that played all different Gibsons. And it's weird because he never played a Flying V, he never played the SG, the double neck was technically an SG. But to me, his signature sound is that 335 through the Marshalls, Fly By Night, Caress of Steel.
Or High Watt.
Yeah, the High Watts came in 78. So Farewell to Kings, up until Farewell to Kings, he was recording with the Marshalls. And in the middle of that tour, he switched them out for the High Watts and then went High Watts for Hemispheres. And I don't even know if he went to Permanent Waves with the High Watts, maybe. But he wasn't on them very long. But his real signature sound to me is a 335, the Marshall Plexi, I think, and the JMPs. I think he used those as well.
And a Roland Space Echo.
And a Roland Space Echo and an Electric Mistress Flanger. That was Alex, man. That's the prime Alex, on the Crybaby Wah. Man, what a tone. That, like I said, that first album, the tone on that is so insane, especially given the budget. So he's my number 1. He'll always be my number 1. So Alex Lifeson.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Love it.
Nice.
Yep. All right. Next, Mr. Canzoneri.
Well, my number 1 is your number 2, is Warren Haynes.
Oh, wow.
I agreed with everything you said. The guy's an incredible singer, super versatile, works hard, produces, young artists. The guy's just a great guy. And I'm very disappointed I'm not going to get to go see him on October 11th. He's playing the Capitol Theater with the Phil Lesh Quintet with Jimmy Herring.
Oh, shit. Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
So I can't go, but I hope somebody does. That's going to be blazing.
And he's a local guy for us, too. Warren.
Warren?
Yeah, he lives in Portchester.
Really? I thought he lived in Asheville, North Carolina.
He might, I'm sure, maybe he has a home there as well, but I know that his normally is based out of Portchester.
Wow. Start out down there.
which is why he plays the Capitol Theater as much as he does.
He does all the time. Yeah. That makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah, Warren's a great player. Great. What a soloist too. Oof.
Yeah. The guy's unbelievable.
I
And
love
playing
his
and
voice.
singing, some of the stuff he plays and sings at the same time, it's like, what are you doing?
Have you guys seen that documentary that Mike Gordon from Fish made about them searching for? Remember, they did an album after Woody died where they called up all of his big influences and they all came and each played on a track, including
The
just
deepest
like
end.
that's a really cool DVD. I highly
Yeah.
recommend.
I haven't seen that. I'd like to check that out. Yeah, that was
Pretty cool. Like a who's who of bass players. I mean,
yeah. Everybody played on those two
Les
albums.
Claypool, Larry Graham, Chris Squire,
Oh shit!
Flea. The list is endless.
I didn't know Squire played on it. Wow.
Yeah, they flew him out. There's some story about them like going to pick him up at the airport and they were late and they missed him and he flew all the way back to England and then flew back over again and did it. It's like, all right, we'll be there this time for sure.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man, crazy.
Cool.
So, is it my turn?
It's your turn, Sean.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to go with this gentleman right here.
Mr. Zappa.
That's right, Frank Zappa. Darn it, I'm bad about this. Okay, there we go.
It's hard, isn't it? It sucks.
I know. I'm bad. It's like looking in the mirror. There we go. So, what can you say about Frank? I mean, he's pretty much a Gibson player through and through. He did have his Strat flirtation in the 80s. But, up to that point, it was pretty much SGs. But he also had a Les Paul phase. A couple of them, actually. I'd say kind of early on, Burnt Weenie Sandwich around that time, he was using a Les. And then later, 1980 or so, you've probably seen that Halloween show where he's got the red jumpsuit on with Steve Vai playing with him and stuff. And the Les Paul he had going around that time. And, what can you say about his playing? I mean, it's blues based, but it's like from another galaxy. He's so rhythmically sophisticated. I think a lot of people kind of miss that part of his playing, or maybe they're just not aware of the complexity that's rolling by their eardrums. It's I mean, he's playing crazy blues, but in the context it's in, it's otherworldly. And then his compositional prowess. Well, what can you say, man? He's, nobody's like that.
I always call his soloing kind of exotic.
I would say so. Yeah, he used a lot of weird kind of scales from time to time as well. Whole tone and kind of weird, kind of symmetrical ones as well. So yeah, really great stuff. And Chris has a shirt to prove it.
Yep.
That's right.
Zappa for president.
There you go.
If only.
If only. I read that he stopped using Les Paul because he said they were too heavy to use while he was singing.
I believe it.
I believe it, they are heavy.
So, but he liked them, from what I could gather.
I think my favorite stuff is him playing the SG.
Yeah.
But it's almost like
A good year.
those are the best albums and the best compositions too, in my opinion.
True.
All great though.
I'd agree.
Once he fired all the original mothers. A lot of people get touchy about that, but I agree that once he got rid of those, I mean, not that the original stuff wasn't, unbelievable, but I think he really moved on after he got a bunch of new people.
Yeah, there's just no way he could have done the stuff on Roxy or One Size with the
With those
original
guys.
Mothers. That
Yeah.
just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
Not at all.
And that's some of his very best. That's my favorite stuff, basically.
me too. Me too.
So I think we know who Butch's number one is, so we can probably move on to Hack, right?
You pretty much can. You can just go ahead. You can bypass. But just
That's all right. Go ahead, Butch.
for historicals, this is it's a little beat up. But when's the last time anyone ever saw this poster? The
Ow.
old Gibson, John Sykes. Of course, it was going to be my number one. 1978 Les Paul Custom. Next. I've talked too much about him. Go ahead, Hack.
Oh, Gibson.
I think we know who Hack's number one is going to be too.
Yeah, we just did a show on this like a week ago. So yeah, my not just my favorite Gibson player, but my favorite player period is Jimmy Page. Absolutely love Jimmy Page. 59 Les Paul. Bought it off of Joe Walsh back in the day. And
I always heard that. I read a story that Joe Wall said he gave it to him.
did he give it to him or did he buy it? I don't know.
Either way, but
Either way, I mean, he's played other guitars, you know, there's Dan Electro, you know, the first album, Telecaster. But I mean, everybody knows him for a Les Paul. Watch Song Remains the Same. I mean, there's that Les Paul. And, you know, as much as I talked about Ace Frehley, you know, getting me playing, then once you start playing, then you discover Jimmy Page. And then you get into like really, you know, composition, light and shade, and orchestration and guitar layering. And I mean, the guy's just a master at that. And I just love his playing. You know, could get criticized at times for maybe not being as clean as some players, but you know, when he's reaching for stuff, you know what he's reaching for, and it's all good. So love Jimmy Page.
Yeah, he's the one that made me want to play. You know.
Yeah.
but you know, Hack, your 1 and 2 are both sloppy, but it doesn't make a difference because they're completely those two guys have spawned millions of guitar players.
Yeah.
It don't matter. I was saying to someone on Facebook this week, no, not everybody's supposed to be Steve Vai and be immaculate. You know, you
That's
need the
boring.
pages.
It's
Yeah.
it's impressive and sometimes it's boring.
Yep. You need the pages in the Frehleys and you know, whoever else that you want to throw in it. It isn't absolutely perfect, but it's them not being perfect that makes them so awesome.
Well, what they also have in common, and I'm not a big fan of Steve Vai right off the bat, but what makes them all, what they all have in common is they're all so musical, so musical. There's nothing wasted in what they're doing, right? So that's what I mean. Like the melodic ideas that Page is playing on, I mean, some of those solos are like, oh my God. And then the other thing too, man, and I talked about this a lot before, he always knows what tone to use on what song. You know, he'll sculpt a tone specifically for a solo in a song, and his guitar orchestrations too. I mean, if you listen to some of these tones by themselves, they would sound like crap, but within the context of the song, the guy just has an ear. He's
a producer. That's the producer part side of him.
Oh yeah, man, he's just got a vision, and I mean, his lead playing is incredible. I mean, super musical. All of these guys on my list, actually. I mean, Angus too. Like shit. Talk about mixing major and minor and making it work and beautifully. All great players, all of them.
They all have great songs in common, you know.
Yes.
That's really what it boils down
They're all
to.
song guys, right? I like song guys. I don't like instrumentalists. I like song guys.
Right. Who can't sing this? Who can't sing the solo to Stairway to Heaven?
Well, why don't we all try and do it right now in unison?
The perfect solo.
It is. It's just so beautifully. It builds beautifully. It
Yeah.
so melodic,
Honestly, it's
so
probably his
magic.
best as a solo. That's probably his best solo.
I think I agree. I think it's
Best
probably, yeah.
Very well orchestrated, very well executed.
You know, I'm about the chords he chose too. You know, he had some really unique choices.
And the tunings.
Yeah, the tunings. I mean, Dancing Days.
There's
That's
just
one of my all-time favorite songs, man. And that's Dadgat, I believe. Yeah.
there's just something exotic about his delivery. You know, I mean, Cashmere and stuff like that. I mean, who else would have thought that up?
And the way he layers, like you said, the way he layers tones, you know, clean, acoustic, dirty, you know, this one over here with a little bit of tremolo on it or whatever, the Dan Electro.
Recording in the bathroom.
Right. I like the later stuff when he got really more experimental and he just wasn't going for just the heavy blues stuff. I like that stuff too. But like Physical Graffiti, you know, side 3 of Physical Graffiti, you know, Houses of the Holy, that whole record.
House of the Holy, yeah.
Where he's doing all that wonderful like acoustic and 12 string, and man, that's just so cool. Nobody really does that because you hear them all sound differently.
Well, it's because he was Jimmy fucking Page. He can fucking do it. You have to be a certain caliber to be able to have the leeway to do that shit. That's the thing. Think about that.
Pioneered a lot of things too.
The leeway and the vision.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
hear
like I
it in
said-
your head and know exactly what you're going for before the tape rolls.
And being that he was a studio cat to start with,
Yep.
and that he was in control of everything, being a producer, and then becoming and being Jimmy Page, that go off into a house and do what you're gonna do. You know, given that leeway to be able to experiment and do what you want to do, and have no one tell you that you can't do it. You know, there's a lot to go with that, man. Think about that.
My only regret is he wasn't very prolific. You know, we got Zeppelin and a couple albums after that, and it's just like, damn it, Jimmy, you could have
Yeah, he just
given us so much more.
last 30 years. I mean, we've hardly seen anything from him. Yeah.
Meanwhile, his buddy Jeff Beck
Yeah.
puts out an album every couple years, and they're all
Because
awesome.
Jimmy realizes, like, you know what, my money is in Zeppelin. I'm just gonna be the architect of keeping this thing alive. I'm gonna retool things and repackage it and remix it and do all this blah blah blah.
I think the last cool thing he did, I'm thinking, well, he did Coverdale Page, but I think the last, that and maybe Outrider.
I think that Walking into Clarksdale is better than either one of those.
And that's painful for me.
Clarksdale is pretty good. I like the Coverdale Page album a lot.
Yeah.
I just can't take David Coverdale in that Robert Plant arena. It just seems a little like a cheap move to hook up with
A
him.
great business move.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked okay until he got back with Plant a year or two later and really raked in the bucks. So I don't know.
You know what?
You guest vocalists on Outrider, and some of the playing on that record's really good.
I saw that tour and it was actually really
Yeah.
good.
He wasn't playing a Les Paul either at that time. I don't know.
He mixed it up. He had that,
That's the funny
kind
thing
of cherry
about
red
him.
Les Paul.
He
He
played
used
a
that
lot of
quite a
different
bit.
ones. Whatever the thing called for, whatever the color he wanted to use. So I don't think of him as just a Les Paul player because he did so many other things. But obviously, during this all this pictures, the
Yeah.
iconic photos of him are playing that Les Paul, and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
for
where
that.
that's where I'm going with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's what you say Jimmy Page, you're not gonna say anything but a Les Paul. You're not gonna say Strat. You know what I mean? Telly or SG, you're gonna say a Les Paul. A Gibson. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Although the telly might be number 2 though.
Especially early on. Yeah.
Yeah, or later with the B Bender. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool too.
Right, the B
The
Bender.
brown one.
That's a funky thing, that B Bender too.
If I
Man.
didn't know better, I'd say the brown one with the B Bender is the same one that had the dragon on it back in the 60s. The one that Fender recently reissued.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty
Those
nice.
are pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was using the telly when he was with the Firm.
Yeah, that was okay.
He was. I couldn't believe the fatness he was getting out of that telly with the Firm. That must have been a really hot rod at telly, because there's a concert of the Firm on YouTube, and he's playing a telly. He did bring out the Les Paul too, but he played a lot of telly on that, and he got a nice fat sound out of it too.
Oh yeah, that tune "Tear Down the Walls." The chords on that are huge sounding, and it's
Yeah.
all telly.
That was a missed opportunity. The Firm. He wasn't in the right frame of mind or body at that point in time, I think, to make
No,
that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he was bombed. he even looks that way on the video. I don't know if he saw the one.
Paul
Video.
Rogers is always consistently awesome, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All the King's horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great song. All right, my number one, probably no surprise to anybody, Mr. Iommi, who's been mentioned a few times already tonight. The man on the SG, those riffs, those solos, the look. He made the SG look evil, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about the guy. I worship Iommi. He's the guy who first convinced me to pick up a guitar, and love him. There he is.
Yeah.
There he
Bad
is.
resolution, but you get the idea.
He's the guy. All right, real quick. I know we're running way long. Anybody want to just throw out a couple of quick honorable mentions?
I got a couple.
You too.
Probably the guy that taught me how to play rhythm guitar early on, Pete Townsend.
Yeah.
He was a big-time Gibson player. I'd say the SG in particular is the one I associate with him. But, the later 70s Les Paul era, he had all those ones with the numbers on them. That's still great stuff, and then he got into those Schecter Tellys and all these other weird guitars, but that was the one. And, of course, I think we mentioned this young man earlier today, Randy Rhoads. Just, I mean, he played other guitars too, but I think of him as a Les Paul player more than anything else. And we got it. While we're talking about Les Pauls, come on, let's talk about the man himself. We got to throw some props in there. And remember these weird recording Les Pauls from the 70s with the active pickups? Unusual stuff. So, yeah.
I got a good one. Pat Travers.
Oh, yeah.
Melody maker.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yep.
How about I got two. Tom Scholes
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
and Buck Dharma.
Yeah.
Yeah. SG and Les Paul.
Yeah. Those are my run. And Scott Gorham was my other one. I just decided to pick one of the Lizzys, even though they really should be a package. But
Exactly. It's gotta
because
be a
his
package.
solo and Romeo and the Lonely Girl is like one of my favorite guitar solos ever. And
Beautiful.
that's Scott solo. So that was
Beautiful. Beautiful solo.
Can everybody grab a Gibson real quick and show it before you go? I see some of them in free.
I didn't even bring him up. Mine's downstairs. I didn't bring it up.
I'm going to take out my prized one.
I feel left out now. Hit pause. Let me go downstairs. Ooh, Bill Lawrence.
I wanted to mention Johnny Winter.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Firebird. Yeah.
And I also wanted to say John Fogerty.
Nice.
Underrated. I think he was doing better shit than Clapton was back in the late 60s.
I agree.
Yeah.
Clapton wasn't even mentioned.
West. Leslie
Oh,
West.
yeah.
West, yeah.
Robert
I've had this
Fripp.
since I've had this since
I
was
thought
16.
for sure, Pete, you were going to say Robert Fripp.
He was in my honorables, yeah.
I think he gets enough publicity anyway with his Sunday morning brunches.
And he's always on.
Yeah. I've had this guy since I was 16. It's the first good guitar I ever got. And I didn't want another guitar after I got this. And I didn't even get another one until I was probably like 30, because it was just like, I got it.
Yeah.
What do I need? I have a nice SG.
What year is that, Sean?
This one is an 82, which is not a terribly shitty year. They got worse a few years down the road. And I put the Bill Lawrence in back in the early 90s.
Is that a chrome ring or not?
It does have chrome around there.
Plastic or metal?
It's metal.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
What about you? What about Christian? What do you got there?
This is a 16 standard. I have Lawler Imperials in it. Other than that, just saying, it's all stock.
Nice.
I feel so left out right now.
I expected you to have Greenie there by you.
I didn't. I'm unprepared. I could run downstairs and get it, but I forgot. I didn't even think about it. I forgot Viv. You thought I remembered the guitar?
Yeah.
Is that a 330, Jim?
It's a 1961 ES330.
Wow.
Nice.
Great. I don't know if I'll tell a quick story about this. I know we're running super long. When I did the Fuzz Bubble record, Mike Klink was producing. He said, let's go rent some guitars because the label would not buy us anything. So we went to Guitars R Us on Sunset Boulevard, which is
I've been there.
Store. Yeah, and he was friends with Albert. So we took I took this one, and there was a 64, which was way newer, way nicer condition. And we took them both to the studio, and this one played so great that we brought the 64 back, and so we used this for the whole record. And at the end of the record, Mike said, "You really like that guitar?" I said, "Man, this is the best guitar I've ever played. It's so fucking amazing." He's like, "You want it?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, let me see what I can do." And he went to Albert, and it was only $2,400 at the time. We're talking 1998. It's probably worth a lot more than that now. But he had Albert write it up as $60 a day for 40 days or whatever. And he wrote it up as a rental and let me keep it.
Nice.
Because he got his price for it. He just wrote it up. And so I got this thing for nothing.
Awesome.
Wow.
Thank you, Bad Boy Entertainment, for buying me this wonderful guitar and being duped that it was rented. So it's the one good thing I got out of that record deal was getting to keep this gem. It's really the most amazing guitar I've ever
I bet
played.
you could totally get that early Lifeson tone with that.
Well, it's funny. It's a 330, so it's fully hollow.
Oh,
It has a
okay.
different sound. It's got these, these P90 dog ear things in it.
So,
It's
so
kind of
no.
grungy. It's a little dirtier sounding than you would think. It sounds, I can get a decent Lifeson out of it, but his was a more solid because it was a 335. But
Yeah.
it sounds great acoustically. So yeah, this is my most prized possession in the world is this guitar. So
Gibson.
that's
Hack,
mine.
what do you got there?
This first closest one to grab. This is a 2017 Les Paul Classic. So every year the classics come out with different pickups. In this particular year, they came out with the P90s, and I wanted a P90 guitar, but I didn't want to get I wanted a set, wanted a tailpiece and an adjustable bridge. So I didn't want to wrap around like you get on a special or a junior. So because those are troublesome. So yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah.
And I put 8s on it, for only just to try. And if you got Cindy fingers like I do, 8s is your answer.
I've got a guitar with some 8s on it. It's just fun to be able to just bend the shit out of them and shake them all crazy. But you got to be careful because it's really easy to overbend if you're not paying attention.
It's a little bit of an adjustment. My only gripe with the P90 guitar, and I don't know, Jim, but when I gig with this, if I'm playing at a relative volume and I got a bit of dirt and hit a lead boost, and these things just start to
Woo!
And you cannot tame it. And if you use a noise gate, you're going to cut off your note as well as the noise. So it's a little frustrating to play this.
Oh yeah.
Shows. So I rarely take this up for a gig.
Yeah, I never take that. I've taken it out for gigs, but I never will again. It's too precious.
Yeah, in your case, yeah.
So there's Butch's.
Butch, that's a beaut. Tell us about it.
Got my baby here. I'm trying to remember what year this is either. I think it's a 2017 Les Paul Custom with my Kermit green.
Nice.
It's a great color, man.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It's I wasn't going for that when I got it, but it's similar to Damon Johnson's green if you've seen his with his Les Paul. But mine's got a Floyd on it, of course.
Did it come with the Floyd in it?
Yeah, this one did. Yep.
That's cool. As long as it came with it, because a lot of people get really mad when you put a Floyd Rose in a Les Paul.
Well, you know what? Brad Gill is he would be my honorable mention because he was the first guy I ever saw with a Les Paul with a Floyd on it. And he's got a 71 custom, and I love that guitar. I've talked to him. It's like, somewhere I can get in there to have you leave that in your will to me? Because I love that guitar. That is the cool. I remember on MTV seeing a video with him with that. And this is 82, so Floyd Roses were still relatively new. And you're like looking at, does he have a Floyd Rose on a Les Paul? That was the coolest thing I ever saw. So after I saw that, I always wanted to get a Les Paul that had a Floyd Rose on it. So there you go.
That's pretty damn cool.
That's amazing.
Signature Alex Lifeson Access.
Yeah.
I got one of those too, right back there.
Yeah, you got the nice curve on the back. You don't have the big heel, right?
No.
Mine. Oh, you got an accident. I got a heel on mine.
That's this guy. Yeah, I got one of these. It's decent. It's
Not much of a heel, but it's a heel.
yeah. It's got that sculpted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice guitar. Still play. It feels like an Epiphone though. It doesn't feel like a.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good, but Epiphones have a.
I know
they just feel cheaper than a
There's
Gibson.
there's a difference.
exactly what you mean.
It's nice though. It's nice. I like it. Pete, what's so you got a black SG, huh?
Yeah, this is a 2019 SG Standard with burst buckers. It's got the full scratch plate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a chance to get
Half.
both kinds, and I wanted to get the full scratch plate. I kind of like those a little better.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And Iommi black, man.
Yeah.
This SG I got when some guy came over that was dying to go see Pearl Jam, and he begged me to buy it. So bought it for $300. It's a Gibson.
What?
So he can
No,
go
it's
see
like-
Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
So he
So-
deserves that then.
So
Good.
thank you, Pearl Jam.
Good.
And I actually play at a Who tribute occasionally. We're playing all of Tommy coming up next month, and of course, this is the guitar I'm going to use for that because it's just perfect. I've used the Les Paul for it too, but this is more along the lines of what Pete was really playing when they did that record.
What fret is the neck joint on that one, Sean?
I would say right above the 19th.
Yeah, okay. Those half pickguard ones, they got a little less heel on them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yep. That one's a little longer, actually.
You know, I've
Some of those, though, I mean, you're like, you just look at it funny and you're bending notes.
You know, what I love about this guitar is it's so much versatile than you think. Everybody thinks the SG is just this rock beast, and it is, but it's a great sounding clean guitar too.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
I love playing this clean, play jazzy stuff on it, and it just sounds delicious.
they definitely have their own sound, and it could be a lot of different applications, but they do have their own thing to them. I love them.
Nice looking cherry there, Hack. That's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the rehearsal last night. Yeah. This is my this is my Angus Young / Tony Iommi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know someone that I got to mention that no one's mentioned? Alan Collins.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, with the Explorer.
Yeah.
Or
He's
and
Jazz.
Matthias.
It is. Oh shit.
Sure.
God damn it.
Great
Yeah.
sounding Explorer, man.
Yeah.
Who else
Nugent,
played-
Nugent, Pat Metheny, Alvin Lee, Larry Carlton, Robin Ford, Derek Trucks, Mick Box. There's a lot we didn't mention.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Jeff
Paul
Beck.
Chapman,
Taylor.
Firebird. Paul Chapman played a Firebird, right? That was a nice sounding guitar.
Somebody
Yeah,
mentioned
he did. He did have a Firebird.
Bob Welch.
Yes.
Oh, Bob Welch. Wow.
And Andy Powell from Wishbone
Oh.
Ash, man. The other guy was
Yeah.
on the Flying V.
Neil Sean.
Neil Sean. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Lindsey Buckingham.
Lindsey Buckingham. Yeah, he's a monster.
Well, let's-
Jeff Lynne.
Wait. Lindsey Buckingham.
Never seen that white Les Paul he played for?
Yeah, early
Oh,
on.
for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
70s.
When he had the beard and the fro.
That's right.
Yeah.
When he looked like Jeff Lynne.
Yeah. He looked like Jeff Lynne, exactly.
Jeff Lynne is a great player.
Yeah, there's a guy who plays the Les Paul, Jeff Flynn.
Yep, Jeff
yeah.
Lynne.
Oh,
Old top.
Yeah.
Oh, Storm's here now, man.
Yeah, it's
Just
here.
play you yet?
really? It's still not doing anything here.
We got thunder and lightning. It's raining pretty heavy.
Oh, we got that
Shit.
last night here. It's like the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys have been floating away in there, like in Queens and Long Island, man. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
I guess Fender's next now, Pete, right?
What's that?
You're doing Fender next?
Fender next month, yes. So for everybody watching, this was a lot of fun. We're going to have this exact same type of show in October where we'll talk about our favorite Fender players and maybe we'll show our Fenders from our collection. So that's coming up in just about a month. So stay tuned for that and list some of your favorite Gibson players in the comments below. We'll be checking that out. I want to thank Guitar Hack and Butch Jones and Chris Canzoneri and Sean Tonar and Steve Bacchi for joining tonight and talking about their favorite players and showing off their axes. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Stay tuned for our favorite live albums by year tomorrow morning. We're at 1976, pretty tough year. Stay tuned for my picks on that. Also, we got the Monsters Den tomorrow night with Chris Allo, Friday morning at the Funhouse with Martin Popoff, and then Sunday album homework assignment with Bryce from Bryce Talks Metal and Sydney Taylor from the Hudson Valley Squares. So thanks for watching, everybody. For the gang, good night, guitar players. We'll see you next month. We're going to switch over to Fender players. Take care, everybody.